Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers traffic stops, reasonable suspicion, and citations, and is brought to us by Arkansas Online and NEA Reports channels. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. On December 28th, 2016, Officer Matthew Mercado of the Walnut Ridge Police
This usually just farms chat wars.
Department pulled over Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway Company employee Adam Finley while he was working in an unmarked truck on railroad property in Walnut Ridge, Arkansas. The footage from Officer Mercado's body cam, which he turned on after the traffic stop was initiated, shows that Mr. Finley was wearing a BNSF Railway logo jacket and that he provided Officer Mercado with his employee ID badge and driver's license. The first 30 seconds of the body cam footage did not capture audio and has been omitted from this episode.
You have anything concealed, any weapons or anything like that?
No.
Okay, well what's with the attitude?
Nothing.
No, you have an attitude, and what's your problem?
I don't have no problem.
Yes, you do.
I'm good.
I can pull you over if I want.
That's fine.
Because I have a right to ask you what you're doing over there.
For 'em.
Okay, it didn't look like you were working. Step back from me some, too.
Okay.
You get up on...
I want to say my take before he says his, and so you guys don't say I copy his take. What this guy's doing is scary as fuck. Think if you're an officer, how is this power trip? This guy's getting out of his car to go acting all weird.
Again, we're gonna have problems. I'm glad you think this is a joke, sir.
He's going to his pockets and shit like that. That's scary as fuck.
I work for him.
What were you doing over there? And why aren't you in a marked vehicle? But I didn't see you doing no work over there. And
You
then
want to go back over there and open the door?
You should not put your hands behind your back.
I
Because
ain't
right now,
gonna-
yeah, you're obstructing with my operation.
No, let me show you. I work for him. Look at all this stuff.
Still
back
reaching.
Mr.
Fuck all-
Finley steps toward Officer Mercado in an attempt to open the back door of his truck to show the officer his work supplies. But as Mr. Finley steps forward, Officer Mercado aggressively shoves him backwards and places him into handcuffs.
What'd I tell you about getting up on me?
I wasn't. I was just trying to show you something that I could prove that I work for him.
What'd I tell you about getting up on me?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Why is it that he's not reaching? Yeah, that was kind of weird. I agree. But why is it that the guy's not reaching? The guy literally went back into his car with both his hands both times. Like, chill out, man.
Hey, you want to be a post more?
I'm sorry.
You better shut your f***ing mouth. Come here. You set your right there. And you move from there, and I'm going to ride your... You understand? I don't know who the you think... Look at me. Who the you think you are?
Yeah, this
Where
guy's
you
being weird,
from? Where you mess with cops like that? You lost your mind. I dare you move from there. First of all, I have to prove why I pulled you over.
That's right.
You didn't even let me do that.
I'm sorry,
Shut the f*** up. That's your problem right there. How old are you? If you're nervous, for what? What did you do? Right. So what are you nervous about? How do you think I feel? I'm out here by myself. I don't know if you got a gun
What a
in
terrible
there.
job
And then I
de-escalating.
walk up on you and you jump me all verbally.
I'm 37, sir.
Okay, we're the same age. Man to man, why would you talk to another grown man like the way you did?
I'm actually impressed. This guy, the guy's trying to de-escalate, and he's getting better than the cop is. And the cop keeps escalating, which is so weird.
Ask you why you pulled me over. I wasn't.
I was going to tell you, do you know by law we have to tell you why we're pulling you over? Because I can't impede on your civil liberties.
Officer Mercado claims that he is lawfully obligated to tell Mr. Finley why he stopped him. However, while police officers must have reasonable suspicion to initiate a traffic stop, they do not have to inform citizens of why they have been stopped during the traffic stop, although it may be a police department's policy to do so. In fact, the Supreme Court has repeatedly held that a police officer's subjective reasons for initiating a traffic stop should not be taken into account when determining the reasonableness of a stop for Fourth Amendment purposes. For example, in the 1973 case of United States versus Robinson, the court held that a traffic violation arrest was valid despite the fact that it was, quote, a mere pretext for a narcotics search. And in the 1978 case of Scott versus United States, the court explained that, quote, subjective intent alone does not make otherwise lawful conduct illegal or
It's interesting.
constitutional.
I'm watching
After
this.
summarizing these cases, as well as other relevant precedent, the court concluded in the 1996 case of Wren versus United States that, quote, "We think these cases foreclose any argument that the constitutional reasonableness of traffic stops depends on the actual motivations of the individual officers involved. Subjective intentions play no role in ordinary probable cause Fourth Amendment analysis." Additionally, in the 2014 case of Hine versus North Carolina, the court expanded this principle to uphold a traffic stop where the officer was
like the one
mistaken
thing-
about whether driving with one brake light out violated the law, holding that reasonable suspicion can, quote, "rest on a mistaken understanding of the scope of a legal prohibition," and that, quote, "because the officer's mistake about the brake light law was reasonable, the stop in this case was lawful under the Fourth Amendment." In other words, not only are officers not required to inform citizens of the reason for a traffic stop, a stop will still be considered constitutional as long as there is an objectively reasonable suspicion to justify it, even if the officer did not initiate the stop for that
Even if he's wrong, if he says, yo, your tire's broken and it's not broken,
reason, or is mistaken about what the law actually prohibits.
But you didn't let me. You become hostile and aggressive with
I
me.
did not.
Yes, you
I
did.
didn't say one cross word. I just said, why you pulled me over?
Sir, it's how you say things.
Sorry.
You should be. But you're getting ready to go to jail. Is there anything in here I need to know about?
For what?
For one, didn't I tell you not to get up on me like that?
I didn't.
That's
I
assault.
just stood there, sir.
No, you got up on me, sir. I
No,
told
I
you
did
don't get up
not.
on me. Is there anything in this vehicle you need to know about?
No.
I need to know about?
Yeah, I need my phone.
You don't need it right now.
I've got stuff to do, sir. I didn't.
You got to sit right there. That's what you got to do.
Okay,
Adam,
this guy's-
my name is
okay,
Matthew,
this guy's fucking
and
weird.
this is all being recorded.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go, but do you understand I could get you for obstruction, for government operations, just listen to me now, assaulting a peace officer. I should take you to jail right now. All right? Let me tell you something. When you come in contact with an officer, let them tell you why. Don't just start, what are you doing?
I was just confused.
Don't be confused. I'm going to alleviate all confusion. Now, you put yourself in my shoes, sir.
Oh, I understand.
You're a police officer.
Yes, sir.
That's my property right there. I'm supposed to watch. Are you in a marked vehicle that says railroad? And where's your plates from? So, now could you see where I'd be suspicious of what you were doing over there?
Oh, yeah.
Officer Mercado explains that he was suspicious of Mr. Finley because he was driving an unmarked truck on railroad property. If Mr. Finley was not an employee, his presence on railroad property could violate Section 5-39-203 of the Arkansas Code, which states that an individual commits criminal trespass if they purposely enter or remain unlawfully in or upon the premises owned or leased by another person or a critical infrastructure, which, according to Section 5-38-101 of the Arkansas Code, includes railroad property that is, quote, either completely enclosed by a fence or other physical barrier that is designed to exclude persons without
Yeah, that's
permission
the
to be in
whole
the
point of the video,
facility,
dude.
or otherwise is clearly marked with signs that are reasonably likely to be seen by another person that indicate entry or unauthorized access is forbidden without facility authorization. Even though Mr. Finley was
Oh my God,
authorized to be on the
I gotta
property
have
in the
some
scope
bad
of his
talent.
employment, because there was no
Bang,
obvious indication from his
bang.
vehicle that Mr. Finley was a railway employee, it is likely that Officer Mercado had the
that was a good
necessary
bait, to be
reasonable
honest.
suspicion to initiate the traffic stop. As the Supreme Court explained in the Wren case, quote, a search or seizure may be permissible even though the justification for the action includes a reasonable factual mistake. An officer might, for example, stop a motorist for traveling alone in a high occupancy vehicle lane, only to discover upon approaching the car that two children are slumped over
Whoa, wait.
asleep in the back seat.
I just
The
looked at the
driver
title.
has not violated the law, but neither has the officer violated the Fourth Amendment. Given this standard, if Officer Finley was mistaken as to whether Mr. Finley was a
Okay, don't
railroad
give it this.
employee, stopping him
What
to
happens next,
investigate
though?
the situation.
Turn around.
Wait, ends up arresting him.
Officer Mercado uncuffs Mr. Finley, and after threatening to tase Mr. Finley and take him to jail, the two eventually shook hands and went their separate ways without further incident. Later that day, Mr. Finley met with Walnut Ridge Police Chief Chris Kirksey and Sergeant
sorry.
Matt Cook to discuss Officer Mercado's conduct and file a formal complaint.
What's your name?
My name's Chief Chris Kirk.
What's that other fellow's name? That's guys this called right here.
It'll be Officer Matthew McCarty.
Yeah.
What I saw is you want to keep a 6 foot distance.
Well, he should have stepped back away from me because I couldn't go anywhere, sir. You seen it?
I've got the whole entire video
Good.
over there.
Can we
But,
watch it?
I didn't leak anything.
Can we? I
Can
want to
Can
see
I
it.
watch it?
Yeah.
You have to do it for you on it.
What?
Freedom of Information Act on it. But from what I saw, he's lucky he didn't go to jail.
Who, Adam?
Mm-hmm.
For what?
Obstruction of justice.
What do you do?
He interfered with law enforcement officers' investigation.
What?
How do you do that? How do you do that?
How do they do that?
Yeah.
Well, when you watch the video, you'll find out.
I just got off the phone with the prosecuting attorney. I explained to him exactly what happened in this situation, and he has advised me to write. Have you written a citation both for obstructing a governmental operation and
Why, he's backing up the other officer. What you did?
So you will be written those citations right now.
When Mr. Finley attempts to file a complaint with the Walnut Ridge PD about Officer Mercado's behavior, he is interrogated by Officer Matt Cook and Chief Chris Kirksey, and eventually issued citations for obstructing government operations and refusing to submit to arrest, even though Officer Mercado originally chose not to write any tickets following the encounter. There are no legal limitations that prevent officers from issuing citations or arresting individuals after they originally decided not to, and in cases involving criminal offenses rather than mere traffic violations, officers often wait to arrest an individual to file charges in order to investigate further. However, while there is no legal issue with the delay in issuing the citations, the validity of the charges themselves is highly suspect. According to Section 5-54-102 of the Arkansas Code, the offense of obstructing governmental operations occurs if an individual, quote, knowingly obstructs, impairs, or hinders the performance of any governmental function, which Section 5-54-101 defines as, quote, any activity that a public servant is legally authorized to undertake on behalf of any governmental unit he or she serves. The statute also clarifies that, quote, this section does not apply to...
That's interesting. Guys, that was actually interesting. I don't give a shit to watch the rest of the video, to be honest. This is an F. You know, because then...
and verbally assaulting Mr. Finley, maliciously abusing officer discretion, and for overstepping the bounds
and he's an F2
officer who committed such blatant acts of misconduct. Every citizen involved in a police interaction.
Okay, this guy does not get A+. Okay, come on.
Finley gets an A+ for
He does
remaining
not-
calm and collected throughout the
He does not get A+ though.
making a legitimate effort to dispel Officer Mercado's suspicions, and for following up this encounter with
He
the
gets a
proper
B at
legal
most.
action. Not every police encounter warrants an invocation of Fourth Amendment protections, and it would be unreasonable to expect every citizen involved in a police interaction to challenge the authority of law enforcement. Mr. Finley went to great lengths to prove his innocence to the officer, and it is difficult to fault him for being so forthcoming when he needed to get back to work.
Guys, he was being a little too jittery and shit, dude.
Mr. Finley's ability to remain calm during Officer Mercado.
Guys, yeah, you know, the pocket thing, this is not it either. This is not it.
His attacks was remarkable, and very few individuals possess that level of emotional constitution. The fact that Mr. Finley managed to have all the charges dropped and a settlement reached, despite having been discouraged and intimidated by the police chief, is a testament to his character. And I commend Mr. Finley for having the...
Guys, how is this a Karen? Guys, it's so simple though. Dude, nobody knows what he has in his pockets though. How...
courage to
Are
challenge
you
the
kidding me?
charges. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to discuss in the comments below.
No, he has
Thank
in
you
his
for
pockets.
watching. And don't forget to check out my second
What if
channel
the motherfucker has a knife? Then what? You just die because, dude, because, fuck it,
for
dude.
even more police interaction content.